here we are in Kelowna, easy as that. Also, load-in's gonna be real easy tonight, like 3 meters away. It's also a good sign. Good because Arrival of Autumn's actually written on it this time. So let's do the first walk around the venue. This place is sick. It's like a straight metal bar in here. Everything is painted black, and then they've got the like various metal memorabilia and fantasy stuff like swords, and it's like a Viking setup. I suppose that's what Muninn's post is, or Muninn's post. Pretty straightforward stage. I don't mind that. I mean, we played a floor show the other night, so this is approximately 8 inches higher off the ground. Of course, at a Viking themed metal bar, you're gonna have some Amon Amarth in there. And pretty simple side stage load-in situation. It's not really super separate, but it's nice that it's really close to the stage because we'll be able to just do load in and load off super quickly. That's it for the quick tour. Now I'm just gonna get load in done. Here at Muninn's Post, we're 5 shows deep in this tour. This will be the 6th one tonight. And I got a couple housekeeping items to take care of. Over time, you know, you gotta change things, you gotta clean things, so here's a little look into my routine. My in-ear monitors are custom fit. To get them, I had to go into an audiologist, and they make molds of your ear canal. Then you get a pair of in-ear monitors that are perfectly fit for your ears. However, despite being fitted for my ear canals, what's really important is that you have a seal with your in-ear monitor and your ear. I find that if I'm sitting completely still, not moving around, not headbanging, it's all right. But as soon as I start moving around, little bits open up, and what can happen is the stage sound can start rushing in, and then, especially as a bass player, if the seal gets broken, the bass drops out really badly, and then I'm not hearing myself as well. The trick is these sweet babies right here. What they do is you wrap them around the in-ear as a little foam piece, and it really seals it in. I've heard people say that you don't need to use them, and that if your in-ear monitors aren't perfectly sealed, then they weren't done right, like the molds weren't done correctly. I disagree completely. I did the molds a bunch of times, and people that say you don't need those molds are really lazy on stage and don't move around at all. It is like 20 bucks a package for 10 pairs, so $2 a round, but they last a reasonably long time, and they're entirely essential. Like, it's a night and day difference having them versus not having them. And see, mine, they're starting to fall off and they're not sticking anymore. So my process is, I take some form of rubbing alcohol, peel the old ones off, get some paper towel, get that rubbing alcohol up in, and then wash them down. It's good practice to clean them off anyway, every now and again. Even if I'm not changing the foam wraps, I'll still spritz a little rubbing alcohol or cleaning alcohol on it every once in a while just to clear off the germs. So I'll let these sweet babies dry for a second, and then, so this part is a very delicate procedure. You have to take them off and wrap them without touching them at all. If you touch the adhesive at all, it doesn't last as long on the in-ear monitor. So I very carefully wrap it around just the tip of it. So that's the final product there. Now with those guys on, the world totally drifts away. It's like really good earplugs, completely sound cancelling, and then your monitor mix isn't screwed with it all because all you're hearing is what you want to hear. The other thing is apparently these don't work with silicone custom in-ear monitors. For whatever reason, the adhesive doesn't stick. The silicone in-ear monitors are a bit like wobbly and stuff like that. These are the acrylic ones, so this is sort of like a hard plastic material. Just FYI. So I've never used the silicone. I've never used silicone customs. I wouldn't. If I were to get customs again, which I will eventually, I would get acrylics, and I would use these foam wraps every time. A lot of times too, you'll see people at concerts and they'll have one in-ear monitor out or something like that. It's entirely because they have a bad mix or they're getting too much bleed in. Once you have your mix set up properly, there's no reason to take your in-ears out, beyond just being a safety thing. People will say it's to get crowd noise in sometimes and stuff like that. You can just set up a channel with a crowd mic, that way you can hear some of the crowd, and it's not a big deal. Like, you don't need to be pulling your in-ear out. If you're doing that, you might as well not be using in-ears as far as I'm concerned, but to each their own. This is just how I do it. Take what you want from it. All right, now the other thing I gotta do is I gotta put new strings on this bad boy. Every so often your strings wear out, so I just go by ear basically. These strings, I just started using them maybe a couple months ago. Right at the start, they don't sound that great. They're really crunchy, but as they break in, they sound really, really nice. Strings kind of have a break-in zone where right at the start, they have a particular sound and then they have a break-in time, and then they're just dead strings and they're useless. So these guys that I have on there, no good anymore. I found that these ones have a really long period where they're broken in and they sound really nice. As well, once they are broken in, they sound extremely pleasant. Also, generally not very expensive. I used to order like custom strings online, and these guys, they come in a close enough gauge that seems to work for our tuning. You can find them most places and they play really well. All right, there we go. So it's all strung up. Now, this was a little bit controversial last time I did a video in the studio talking about restringing, but it's essential. You have to do it. And yes, this is a real thing. You reef along the strings. So you pull on them up and down the string. You press down right here. It helps to get the extra slack out of it, and it helps to break them in. If you don't do this, it takes them longer to break in, which, like I said before, the sound of the strings before they're broken in isn't so pleasant, but once they are broken in, that's the money spot. Also, it doesn't hold tuning stability as well if you don't do this. So the thing to do is you pull on the strings, you reef on them all along for every string, press on the back on the bridge, make sure gets that extra bit out, and then once you've done that a bit, you get the tuner out, you tune the bass, then you pull on the strings again and you check the tuning. If it's out, you tune again, then you pull on the strings again, reef them around, mess them around. Keep repeating that process, and then finally, once the strings are holding their tune, that means they're broken in, so when you're playing, you don't have to worry about them slowly falling out of tune. It works, it's essential, trust me on this one. Now that I've got this all strung up, by the time I'm done practicing and warming up for tonight's show, they should be at a really nice spot for being broken in. And I mean, right off the bat, they don't sound that bad, but there's a little nuance to them once they're truly broken in. All right, that's that for general maintenance. What a show that was. That was, thus far, the best show of the tour. All the other places were just fine beforehand, but tonight, Kelowna went hard. I don't even know where to start. Actually, I do know where to start. It just feels so satisfying when you kill a headlining gig like this. Playing in a city that's not really in your regular route, in a different province, and still being able to kill it, it was awesome. There's so many things to talk about from the show. The crowd was nuts. Like, there was people pouring into this venue, so I wanted to have a really good camera angle. So I have this camera with a good lens on it set up aside, and I have like my GoPro, which takes okay footage. And I noticed that the card was full again. I can't believe this happened to me. Usually I clear out my cards right away, but this time I didn't. I figured it would be fine, but I took so much footage last night, which was nuts. Ripping around a downtown abandoned Merritt was amazing. It was so much fun. Okay, so my card was full, not the biggest deal. I think I got most of the set. We're only playing new material right now, and the horror is the only song that's out right now. So we finished playing the horror, and then the crowd started chanting for one more song. And we were like, guys, that's all the songs. We can play none more songs. We played all of them. Ryan was like, let's just play Better Off Without again. I was like, we played all our songs, but do you guys want to hear a twofer? And then they all started screaming and chanting. So it was like, all right, we're gonna do it.
We literally played all of our songs. We played all of our songs. We can play it over. We can play one song over again. Do you want to hear a song over again? Do you want a twofer? Do you guys want a twofer? A twofer or a twofer? Okay. Okay, since some of you were outside when we started, we're going to play the first song again.
So the first song of the set is usually like the least amount of people in the room because people are filling in from outside. So it was like, all right, some of you might have missed this song before you came in. We're gonna play it again. So we played the same, we played our opening song again, and it was hype. It went off so hard. So the crowd was going so hard for us the whole time, like circle pits, mosh pits. I mean, these are mostly songs they haven't even heard before. Except for, like, there was actually a guy that was from Edmonton who knows our band, who's seen us before. He played in a band called Disturb the Dead, and he happens to live in Kelowna now, and he came out. So I guess he's the one guy that's heard the songs before. But these people are going so hard for them. So this was just an insane gig. I'm gonna continue the story because it looks like the guys want to leave, and I gotta hop in a van. Let's go, boys.
Let's go. We gotta move. We got a deadline.
Oh, God, jump!